Thus, another day in Berea and another day of Brown's training camp are behind us. And it was a huge day today. Furthermore, in addition to some unpleasant events, there were also some favorable ones. I will discuss both of them. Marin Emerson's injury will now be the primary headline. It wasn't a conflict. He was carried off. I hate to say it, but as a Browns supporter, I'm beginning to become indifferent to these things. It turns out that I was mistaken to believe that the secondary would finally start a season in perfect health. And since I still want to keep things good, I'll discuss it after the video since both Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders had excellent days. Joe Flacco is no different. Before I discuss the bad news, I want to show you all the highlights and sort of break down everything that happened at today's training camp. However, I would very much love it if you could subscribe and like before I start. Just 5 seconds are needed. Additionally, you have the freedom to alter your mind at any time, and your support is greatly appreciated. Okay, so the competition for the starting quarterback position continued today with Shedeur Sanders, Dillon Gabriel, and Joe Flacco all receiving reps. Yes, Kenny Pickett is still being discussed, but with him out of the picture, the other three have a great opportunity to demonstrate their ability to lead this attack. Flacco will undoubtedly start the first game, but it does not ensure that he will be the starting quarterback for the whole campaign. As I mentioned before, Shedeur Sanders had a good day, so let's start with him. Based on the statistics that are reported at the end of the day, I think he was about 7 for 10. Dillon Gabriel was also very impressive, but he ended practice with a poor throw and a poor interception at the back of the end zone. He so got things off to a bad start. That is something you never want to see. Furthermore, Shedeur Sanders, that guy, keeps moving ahead. He sensed the pressure up the A-gap after dropping back and scanning the field on a play-action fake, which resulted in one of his greatest passes. As everyone knows, he already has excellent pocket presence. He rolled to his right and hit a strike over the center to a dig route while moving. In addition to being a nice throw, it did a fantastic job of maintaining composure under duress. You can sense that things are beginning to change even though Shedeur is still mostly working with the second and third units, particularly in light of Kenny Pickett's recent injury. He is getting more repetitions from the coaches, and it's clear they're beginning to suspect that he may be ahead of schedule. He is currently quite concentrated, as evidenced by a report that was circulating. Shedeur reportedly warned Dion, "Don't come to practice yet," when he wanted to come see him one of the last few days. "I'm improving myself. Let me get to my destination first," and he is coming and has brought that mindset to camp. He is aware that he will be put to the ultimate test during the preseason. However, he is growing and demonstrating his belongingness in practice every day, and he is not interested in causing needless drama. He doesn't want to draw any more attention to himself than he already does. His performance on the field shows that his thinking is in the correct place, in my opinion. Unfortunately, the most important injury-related news of the day came during practice when Martin Emerson went down during 7-on-7s. He was covering Deontay Johnson when it occurred. He simply slumped after planting on his left leg. It doesn't appear to be related to heat, which is what I was hoping. He simply collapsed on the ground. You could see it in his face that he was unable to put any weight on it. He had to be carried off with a towel over his head because he was so distressed. That is something no one ever wants to see. One important component of the secondary has been Emerson. Although I am aware that he had a rather disappointing year the previous year, he still possesses skill, and his presence alongside Denzel Ward makes a lot of things feasible. And if you lose a guy like that, even for a short time, I hope it's only temporary, but judging from what I witnessed, I don't believe it will be. It is a significant setback. It will undoubtedly dampen the energy for the remainder of the next weeks, but perhaps it won't be as severe as it seems. Returning to Shedeur for a moment, his ability to manipulate was truly demonstrated by a second angle of the rollout toss. He was able to read Charlie Thomas and the defender, directing Thomas away from the passing channel and toward the sideline with his eyes and movements. Shedeur made an open window and shot it in for a significant gain, simply by prolonging the play and rolling on. And no, this time it didn't appear to be a sack. It was entirely genuine. Despite feeling the edge pressure as he stepped up, he managed to get the ball out cleanly. The type of play that simply causes you to pause and think, okay, this guy's really got something here, was this one. Let's move on to the day's less glamorous aspects. The Emerson injury, I suppose, is as unglamorous as it gets. Shedeur, however, had the opportunity to lead a sequence in 7-on-7, and it was quite uneventful. He committed 2 incompletions before undergoing a few checkdowns. Salinella, the tight end, and Pierre Strong each received 1. He did take a sack on the last wrap of the sequence because he held the ball for a bit too long. Although it wasn't catastrophic, it served as a reminder that progress is still being made. Additionally, there are occasions when you just want to watch your quarterback act more quickly and steer clear of plays that are detrimental. But with repetition, that will undoubtedly happen. I still believe that Shedeur is the greatest quarterback on this team, even though no one is demanding that him to be flawless. He is the quarterback with the most potential, at least. I am aware that Dillon Gabriel is regarded as superior by the coaching staff. I know that. However, I'm free to hold my own views, and I simply believe that Shedeur Sanders is the more gifted quarterback. I am aware that I will receive criticism for it in the comments section. I've seen the comments on my previous videos, but I simply don't understand, dude. That ceiling belongs to Shedeur. He truly is that way. Speaking of errors, Dillon Gabriel undoubtedly had a difficult day. The defenders felt some pressure as he was rushing out on a 5-wide formation with no running back in the backfield. Although Gabriel managed to get out of the pocket, he made the cruel error of intercepting Cameron Mitchell. I suppose he simply failed to see the defense in the red zone against the Chargers when the Browns were attempting to win the game. It was similar to the Jacoby Brissett interception I discussed in my previous video. Not even near enough for the wide receiver to challenge it. The only possible outcome was a pick. And that's the type of rep that just kind of sticks with you. It somewhat negates all of your positive actions during the day. Particularly if you are fighting for a job as Dillon is at the moment. Once more, please don't take anything I say as more than it is. I'm not claiming that Shedeur has always been perfect. Throughout Camp 2, he made his own blunders, particularly today. However, Gabriel's mistakes appear to have a little greater impact in killing drives and upsetting rhythm. That is just unaffordable in a tight quarterback competition. If he wants to continue competing and win in the end, he will undoubtedly need to tighten it up. Okay, so let's quickly review the numbers. According to today's quarterback tracker, Dillon Gabriel was 10 for 16, Shedeur Sanders was 7 for 10, and Joe Flacco was 8 for 11. Although he had the most reps of the day, Gabriel did have those poor interceptions. And you won't get the job with that volume if you don't have clean efficiency or ball security. It simply isn't, particularly in the beginning. In the meantime, Shedeur scored 2 touchdowns yesterday and continues to move the ball down the field and make wise plays, even if he didn't score one during the situational drills. He's simply heading higher once more. None of the quarterbacks was able to punch in the last 30-second drill from the 40-yard line that concluded today's practice. It was a bit sad to see both Gabriel and Shedeur come up empty, but it also highlights how well the defense is playing at the moment. Therefore, anytime your offense fails to score, there are certain advantages. But it wasn't simply awful quarterbacking. The timing was somewhat wrong, but the coverage was there. Additionally, the practice's last play spoke a lot. Shedeur fell back. When the pressure increased, nothing was present. Looking at the paths, you can see that everyone was clamped. Another man was caught up in the mess of 3 defenders on one path. Shedeur, however, didn't push it. He did not attempt to act heroically. He merely ate the bag and lived to fight another day. Even if it's not the ideal way to conclude a session, it's also not the worst choice. It's sometimes preferable to accept the loss on a play rather than allowing the defense to make a greater one. Thus, that is the current situation. That's how today unfolded. The dependable seasoned veteran is Joe Flacco. He's throwing his throws correctly. He is handling his finances and acting in the manner that one would anticipate from a 40-year-old. Although Dillon Gabriel is showing promise, he is also making expensive errors. Shedeur Sanders just keeps getting higher. And he's doing what he needs to do to improve every day. Additionally, he has the proper mentality. Following today's practice, Kevin Stefanski spoke to the media a bit, just talking about where things are at and how he's feeling about this team. He may or may not have mentioned the Emerson injury, but it was regrettable. However, let's listen to his thoughts.
I've learned from every year, certainly. So, the thing about our sport, which I love, I know our fans love, is you can't predict this. It's not scripted, I think. And it's the greatest reality show there is. So we as coaches and players, we have to be prepared to navigate anything and everything that comes our way. And that's the fun part of our business. It's definitely a balance. You always are trying to protect a player from himself. We'll never put a guy out there if he's not able to protect himself. And then that's that fine line where guys play injured, whether it's injured, hurt, whatever word you want to use. Like that's how guys played this game for a long time. We'll never do that where there's a something that would need to protect themselves from them. But I'm not surprised a guy like MJ is going to play through injuries, because the truth is no one's feeling 100% once you get through a couple practices.
That's all I got for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point. And if you enjoyed it and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly means the world. And until next time.